All right, anyways, chat, so the plugins we're gonna go over all of them. There's a lot of plugins here. They're not all required, they're not all necessary, but they are very useful and very helpful plugin. First plugin that we're going to go over is 117HD. This is actually like the biggest plugin, considering the fact that this is like, if you're like me and you're an RS3 player and you're coming over to old school RuneScape to check the game out because you're curious about it, this is what actually makes the game look good. This is what it looks like without it. All right, this is actually what old school RuneScape looks like, but when you add 117HD, it goes hard. It's going to update and it's going to look really nice. The lighting's really good. Definitely a must-have. I don't think there's anything that you should really change inside of the 117 HD settings other than setting your draw distance to 90. Oh, dude, this one's huge. Yeah, the next one is animation smoothing. Guys, if you haven't turned on animation smoothing yet, animation smoothing is really, really nice. It just smooths out your players. You can make sure all of the checkboxes are listed in the settings for animation smoothings, but it just kind of... It's exactly what it says. It literally smooths the animations out. Okay. Camera smoothing is another one, guys. That's the third fucking plugin that you're gonna add to it. Is literally gonna be camera smoothing. I think it's this one's not on by default either. I think by default though it should have smooth rotation and smooth zoom. I actually don't think I changed anything to the camera smoothing setting. I just added it and turned it on. Smooth rotation, smooth zoom, in and out. It just kind of cleans up the camera a little bit, even though the default camera is not that bad. You don't need it if you don't want it. Bank tag layouts, dude, this one is actually really nice. It mimics RS3 presets. If you're coming from the RuneScape 3 community and you want to do like presets in a way, they're not the most they're not RS3 presets, but they're pretty damn good for not having to like save screenshots of all of your different armor setups for different pieces of content that you're gonna do. They're a little complex to like kind of go over and learn them, and I'm still learning them myself, but this is what they look like. And basically when you add the bank tab presets or the bank tag layouts, and so for me, a lot of these I'm going to search up and you're going to see it over here. Where you guys are going to find most of the plugins are all going to be found in the plugin hub. Some of them are already downloaded, so if you don't see them in the plugin hub, you can just search them up in the actual configuration menu, but most of these are going to be found in the plugin hub. I don't believe I changed anything for the bank tag layout. I think we kept everything pretty much the same. There's the auto layout button. I think all that's by default though, and it's kind of finicky. I would say play around with it, but for the most part, in the bottom right corner, you're going to see these two arrows. You click on that one, it'll say preview auto layout, and then it'll bring up a menu, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. Another one that we use is the birdhouse overlay plugin. That's another one that's going to be the plugin hub. The birdhouse overlay is very simple. It's just going to help you out when you start doing birdhouse runs on Fossil Island. If you don't know what that is, you'll learn about them very soon, but basically when you complete the Bone Voyage quest, you unlock Fossil Island, and starting from 9 Hunter, one of the best things you could do to level up your hunter very passively is doing a birdhouse run. It's essentially doing an herb run, but specifically for hunter. And so grab a couple of birdhouses, grab some seeds, and I'll show you just real quick what that looks like on Fossil Island, so it actually makes more sense. Essentially what it's going to do for you is it's going to highlight the birdhouse spots so that you can't miss them. There's only 4 of them to begin with, but that way you can't miss them. It'll highlight the birdhouse spots for you, and then when you place a new birdhouse down, and then it'll be yellow to let you know that you need to add seeds to it. Once you add seeds to it, it turns green. And then if you use the time tracking hub and you go to the birdhouses, it'll actually keep track of the timers for you, so you don't have to worry about going back there until you know that they're done for sure. But as you can see, there's this green outline that says my birdhouse is okay. The next add-on that you guys can get, or the next plugin that you guys plugin that you guys can get in the plugin hub, is going to be called Essence Pouch. I actually don't use this one, but I am going to install it right now. It just basically makes it to where you can see how much essence is inside of your pouch. And so if you see I have a small pouch right here and you don't see anything, we can quickly add some essence to it, and then we can check it. And now it says 3, and so when you look at it, it's always going to tell you, like, just so you can look at it and see exactly how much is in there. So that's a very useful add-on for those of you that are going to be doing like runecrafting training. At some point you're going to come across your time and do some RC training. Oh, dude, equipment inspector, man. The equipment inspector plugin is massive. If you're coming from RS3 like I am, I want to be able to see what you're wearing. We can just right click and examine you, but you don't have that in old school RuneScape. So one of the best things you could do is get the equipment inspector plugin. And again, if you guys didn't hear it earlier, most of these plugins can be found inside of the plugin hub. I already have a lot of them installed, and so that's why you're going to see me through the configuration. But the equipment inspector plugin basically adds, when you turn it on, it basically just adds an option when you right click players that'll say equipment, and if you click on it, it'll actually pull up everything that they're wearing. Very, very cool. Very, very comfy. This one is actually a massive, this isn't necessarily a plugin that you're going to install, but you do need to go into your configuration section of the RuneLite client and go and search up logout timer. Make sure you adjust this and max it out at 25 minutes. RS3 community, man, this is a huge one. You know, we hate our 5-minute timers, but that 25 minutes in old school is pretty fucking goated, so make sure you guys get that one. Another one is Loot Logger, which Ushio likes. I don't actually use Loot Logger myself, but basically it's just going to track all your boss drops and all your monster drops. RuneLite does have one by default that is already going to be on your right sidebar, which is the loot tracker. You can keep that one. That's what I use personally. I haven't really looked at Loot Logger, so I don't know if it's better or not, but that one's already built into the side of the client right there. You just click on it, it looks like your backpack and it'll tell you about all the loot you've been gaining. The menu entry swapper. So this isn't another plugin that you're going to download. This is still like another default RuneLite client. So under the configuration menu, if you type up menu entry swapper and turn it on, what this is going to allow you to do, you don't have to edit any of the settings, but by turning it on, it's going to allow you to hold down your shift button and you can say right click an item in your inventory, for instance birdhouses, and you can hover over swap left click and you can change your swap left click to be drop. And so for items that have multiple different left click options for them, it's super nice. So the jute seeds are used right now, but if I needed to drop it, we could just easily hold left shift, right click it, swap the left click to drop, and then not boom, now our left click option is drop. This comes in really handy when you're using amulets and like other teleportation rings in your, or teleportation jewelry in your backpack. Another really goated plugin is actually going to be found in the plugin hub. It's the NPC aggression timer. This thing is massive. Absolutely massive. Basically what it allows you to do is, you guys will actually see it in the top left corner, even though I'm not attacking any NPCs. I have mine turned on to always, but when you are attacking an NPC in that area, it'll tell you whether or not you still have aggro, and it'll show you the active aggro timer so you know when to reset the aggro. Yeah, so okay, if you go into the NPC aggression timer settings, you're gonna want to check the settings show area lines, and what that does is it'll draw a box that'll show you how big your aggression area is, and by running outside of that box and then running inside of it will reset your aggression timer. You can choose to have it hide when you're out of combat. You can choose to always have it active if you want. There's some settings that you can adjust, but NPC aggression timer is massive if you're doing some AFK training. This isn't a plugin that I use personally, but there's a plugin called the random event hider. So if you guys don't like those pesky random events, you just want to ignore them and you don't care for any of the stuff that they give you, which in old school RuneScape, you do still get emotes as well as the costume clothing from them. If you don't care about any of that stuff and you just want to turn them off and you don't want to be bothered, download the random event hider for the plugin hub, and that'll be perfect to get rid of them. Other people will still see them and you're technically still receiving them on the game side of things, but you won't see them, and so it'll be like you're not getting them. This is a big one. This next plugin is called Entity Hider. It's actually not a plugin, but it's disabled by default. If you go to the configuration settings, you search up Entity Hider. I toggle this one on and off when I need it, but let's say you're doing you know, prayer farm or prayer running right now, and you're running bones back and forth to an altar at a player's house, and there's tons and tons of people there. You can turn everybody off just like that to where that you can't see them. There are further customizations. You can make it hide your friends so that you can't see my boy Red Stag over there, or you can make it hide friends chat members, people that are in your FCs, your CCs, people that you ignore, you can make it hide. There's all types of stuff that you can add to it, but basically by default I just turn it off and it hides other players around you, which is really nice when you're trying to click on things and there's 100 people in the same area and you can't click through it. This is a plugin I haven't used yet because I actually am kind of a scrub and I still haven't trained runecrafting, but it is called the RuneCrafting Utilities plugin. And so basically, if you're going to train any type of runecrafting, I'll most likely get it when I start to train runecrafting myself, but it is I can't spell today. It's RuneCrafting Utilities, and basically it just allows you to fill like your runecrafting pouches from your bank, and changes the left click of filled pouches when you're near an altar. If you have a larger monitor though, and you have to worry about those pesky and weird and just honestly massive, I don't know about you guys, but I play on a 24-inch monitor, so I don't have this issue very much. But if you play on anything bigger than like a 32-inch monitor, you're gonna have some issues with the game snapping around on your screen. So one of the best things that you could do is you could download the stretched mode plugin. Actually, it's not even in the plugin hub. You just go to your configuration, and I think it's disabled by default, and you turn it on. It allows you to resize your game via stretching. This is another big one for RS3 players. If you guys like XP globes, you guys can download this. Actually, it's actually disabled by default, so it's the same thing in the configuration menu, not in the plugin hub. But you go to XP globes, you turn those on. That's going to give you a RuneScape 3 like XP globes, and we can kind of demonstrate that for you really quick by getting a little bit of XP. And so when it pops up, this is what it means by the XP globes. It's the circle that pops up at the top. Another really good one is actually the status bars, that what you guys see right now next to my inventory, the status bars of your HP and your prayer. This is another one that is disabled by default. So if you go into your configurations menu and you go to the status bars, you guys can turn that on. It's super juicy. You can make the, you know, customize the bar, make them thinner, make them wider if you want them to. I have mine set to default, which is at 20 on the bar width. But you can also hide them if you want them to hide right away. You can change what the bar is, if it's your special attack, your prayer, your run. Super customizable. Very, very nice. You can choose if you wanted to show the icons or not. Yo, one of my favorite ones actually, the skills progress bars. You guys have to download this from the plugin hub, but it's basically gonna add these little mini progress bars underneath each of your skills, so you can see I've got red ones, yellow ones, orange ones, green ones. The closer you get to leveling the skill, the color changes. Obviously green being good because you're super close to leveling up. They're pretty self-explanatory what they are, but that's a really good one that I like. Another plugin to add would be the pet info plugin. I was running around the game and I'm very, very new. I don't know a lot of old school RuneScape yet, not like I do when it comes to RS3, but I always saw people had pets around them. And if you just have it off by default and you try and right click on somebody's pet, especially if you're from the RS3 community, it's not going to tell you any information on that pet. So in the plugin hub, you can download the pet info plugin, which is really, really helpful. It just allows you to right click a pet and it'll tell you exactly what that pet is and where it's from, kind of deal. So it's just more information for pets. Okay, so another really, really big one that you guys are going to want to change. It's just a small quality of life. I'm a big fan of it coming from RC because we can't do it over there and I really wish we could. But you're not going to download anything from the plugin hub. Just in the configuration menu, you're going to search up bank and you're going to edit the plugin configuration for bank. All the way at the bottom, you're going to find keyboard bank pin. And so what that does, if we log out of the game really quick and log back in, basically when we access the bank, we could just use the number pad on our keyboard to enter in our bank pin. So we just pop that open and boom, you can smash those keys as quickly as possible and enter in that bank pin super, super fast. All in all, these are the plugins that I use to help me get started and get into old school RuneScape so far. But there are an absolute ton of plugins that need to be looked into and added. There's so much stuff on there. There's even some really fun plugins that can kind of change the way that you play the game, kind of like the Bronze Man mode plugin as well as the Tile Man plugin. On top of that, I think it's by default, but if it's not, just in case I forgot to mention it, you have to get the Quest Helper plugin. What are you doing if you don't have it? Absolutely have to get the Quest Helper plugin. It's gonna make your life easy as hell. I mean, quite literally, the best part about the plugin system is the Quest Helper plugin. I'm a quest hater. I'm a spacebar warrior. Call me what you want, but this plugin actually makes questing pretty easy. You click on the quest that you're trying to do, it's going to tell you if you have all the requirements. They're going to pop up in green if you got them, and if they're not, they're going to pop up in red. Another really nice thing is it's going to show you the item requirements as well as the recommended items. If they show up white, that means you have the items in your bank. Another cool thing that you could do with that is if you open up the bank and go to the top and click on the Quest Helper plugin, it's going to show you everything you need for the quest that you already have available in your bank. And as I grab them, you're going to see that it updates in the Quest Helper plugin. You don't even need to have this open, but as you're getting prepared for your quest, you can see that it'll update. It'll let you know that you've got everything that you need. It even tells you at what step of the quest that you're going to need the specific items, and it breaks them into categories like that. Another really nice thing is if you are missing items and you need to buy more, like for instance, I don't have any air runes right now, you can go to the Grand Exchange, click on the offer bot, buy button, and then literally in the top right of the buy section, you're gonna see the view missing quest items button. As soon as you click on that, that's gonna pop up right here in the same area what items you have that are available to be bought on the GE. You click on them, buy them, you're good to go. And then you can close that, and there's gonna be this really awesome flashing blue arrow, as well as boxes. There's gonna be blue boxes around people that you need to talk to, things that you need to do. It makes quests super simple, super brainless. You don't even have to think about them, and you don't have to use a video or even another website to complete them. Optimal Quest Guide as a plugin that literally just tells you top to bottom the quests that you should hit, and it's adaptive to what ones you've already done, is pretty incredible. By the way, it is pretty incredible. I absolutely love that. The convenience, man. The convenience, man. Honestly, we might just go from the top and like just start hitting some of these.